Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Thinking and Driving. Thank you so much for coming back in the first place. Hope you're enjoying these episodes. Hope that you are enjoying the topics. Hope that um, you're forming your own opinions. Whether you they whether you agree with me or not, doesn't matter. Feel please either way, send me a note, send me an email. 30. Whoa, I just gave you way too much information. Okay. Thinking driving at gmail.com. That's the email address. Thinking driving at gmail.com. So the topic of the moment is, wow, look, coincidentally, there's a cop car in front of me. Tinted windows. So you would wonder why. You're probably wondering, why is this a topic? Okay, and it is because, and you'll see, I will get into it soon enough, but it has to do with two reasons. One, because people, I have always had on any of my cars, what 5% tinted windows, which is basically the darkest tinted windows. Like they're called limo tints. So basically, you can't see inside, and I'll admit to you that it's a little bit difficult at night to see outside. Depends on the lighting, really. But anyway, that's not the reason. It comes. The reason I'm bringing it up. Sorry, I was just a little slightly distracted. The reason I bring it up is because people keep questioning me. And by people, I mean like friends, families, colleagues. Why do you have? Why are you drawing attention to yourself, to your car, by having those very dark tinted windows? Okay, and that is 100% a legitimate question. There's absolutely nothing. There's nothing that's wrong or bad about that question. However, I see it completely different than the perspective of, let's say, an African American who's asking me, "Hey, why are you drawing attention to yourself, and then so you can get pulled over, and possibly harassed, maybe, what's been going on lately, maybe even something goes wrong and you get, shot by the cops, things like that." So I get the question, but here's and then anyway, it's happened multiple times with multiple people. Okay, so I do have an answer for it, which is that I truly believe. Okay, now just to be clear, I'm not a very wealthy individual or anything like that. I don't drive a fancy car, meaning like whatever in your head is fancy. I don't drive that. Okay, I drive a regular car. Now here's where the reason I bring that up. The reason is because ever since my professional career, and I've had, I've made a certain amount of money, a salary. I've always either financed or leased a new car, whatever the year is. As an example, my car right now is a 2019. Okay, so my point being is that it really is irrelevant what the car is, whether it's luxury, whether it's just quote unquote regular, which is what I have, quote unquote regular. The point that I'm making is that I truly believe that cops or police officers are only looking to stop the obvious. You get what I'm saying? And it also depends on where you live, what state, what city. But for the most part, they're looking to stop, a 98 Honda Civic with rims and tinted windows, and the picture that I'm trying to paint. So please don't act like you don't know the picture that I'm trying to paint. Okay, so I feel that if you are driving a newer, I don't know, not hooked up car, right? Because I don't have anything special about my car except for the tinted windows. Then they're not going to bother you. Okay, so that's part one of this. Okay, part one is if you're driving what I'm calling a quote unquote nicer car, then you're not gonna get bothered. If you're driving what I'm calling a hood car, yes, attack me for that. I don't care. You're going to get you're giving them a reason to pull you over. Now here's part two, which is actually more important than part one. Part two is how you drive. People complain to me all the time. Excuse me. How can you drive so slow? Why? People get annoyed about how I drive. If you notice in most of my videos, including this one, for the most part, and yes, I just passed a couple of cars. I'll explain that in a second. But for the most part, here we go. Look, there are cars passing me. And for the audio-only listeners, there are cars passing me, okay? That's normal when I'm driving. Because why? Because I either literally drive the speed limit or I drive at most 5 miles over the speed limit. Right now, this is a 55 mile per hour zone. I'm driving 60. The one time that I pass cars, as you just saw, is if they're actually driving way slower than I am. So I pass them. I like using cruise control. I like maintaining my speed. So the point of bringing that up is that, again, I am not giving police officers a reason to pull me over. I am obeying, as you probably have seen in my videos, in these videos. I am obeying the traffic laws. I am not speeding, technically, depending on who you talk to, including police officers, and I know plenty of them. They're lenient up to 10 miles an hour. So technically, I could be driving 65 and feeling okay about it, but no, I would rather be safe within myself, within my gut. Okay. So I'm either driving the speed limit or I'm driving 5 miles over the speed limit, and that's it. Okay. Everybody passes me. Everybody in the car gets annoyed. I don't care. I'm going to make it to where I'm going to make it every time. How do I know that? And obviously nothing's guaranteed. Okay, so don't even. There's no argument there. But what I mean by that is, as far as safety, as far as the less possibility of being pulled over, I'm not concerned about that. I'm not concerned about any of that. I am not doing anything wrong. There's no reason to pull me over. Now, and I will give you the perfect example, honestly. Actually, the perfect example is years ago. I don't know. It must have been at least 10 years ago. I actually got pulled over, and I was actually cited for my tinted windows. But guess what? I only got pulled over because my registration was expired. I let it expire, my registration, and so the argument here is, well, why would the cop run your registration in the first place? They probably saw your tinted windows and ran your registration, right? You know what? I'll agree with that, and I still have the argument of I got pulled over for a reason, because you can say, what if on a daily basis when I'm driving, there's a cop behind me and sees my tinted windows and runs my registration and sees that everything's okay, right? It's the same what if, okay? So my point is basically that from my perspective, in my head, I'm not giving anyone a reason to pull me over, and that's why I have always felt, since I was a teenager, which is hundreds of years ago, I've always had limo or 5% tint. I'm okay with that. Okay, uh, so that's my thoughts on tinted windows and on tinted windows. So the next, it leads into another car related thing, which is, have you ever watched, well, it's a rhetorical question, but I'll ask it anyway. Have you ever been watching TV, you see and a commercial comes on, and whatever the car is, they're either on a racetrack or they're climbing, they're driving the car up a mountain or something, just something that's not normal driving conditions, basically, right? And then in fine print, they say, professional driver on a closed course, do not attempt, okay? So then can someone explain to me, why the fuck are you showing me these things about your car that you don't want me to attempt? I'm at a loss for words on that. I don't get it. Why? So let me show you how this cool, it's normally a Jeep, how this cool Jeep Cherokee can climb up this mountain, right? But however, don't do that, okay? That's only during the apocalypse, during an emergency situation where you have to, take your Jeep up a mountain. But that's what we're gonna sell it as. We're gonna sell it as the Jeep that can, the car that can do anything. Like I don't understand. And the other one that I see often is usually, I mean, obviously there's other cars that do it, like Audi or something like that. But like BMWs, they have fast, they have sports cars and stuff like that. And they're on a racetrack and they're going fast. They're drifting here and there. They're on a dirt course and on the edge of a mountain, and they're drifting. How they, whatever you call those races, the on the dirt, and just basically showing you how good this car is at speeding. Basically, is the gist of it. But however, don't try this yourself. Don't try to speed. Don't, as a matter of fact, what is the point of selling a car based on speed when we live in a world with speed limits, right? Like, is the expectation that this brand new luxury sports car, that you're just going to go and buy it and spend, I don't know, $100,000 on it, and then take it out to the racetrack and possibly total it? Because I have to assume the majority of us are not professional drivers. Okay, we do well for the most part, but it's a little bit different when you're driving 200 miles an hour. Slightly different. So that is I just don't understand. I don't understand why why these things are advertised. Why you're buying a car, or some people are actually convinced by these commercials. Let me buy this car because the tires the tires inflate, automatically based on the terrain. And it's like, okay, well, can you tell me what terrain you're referring to? I mean, last time I checked, we live 100% on paved roads. At least, I mean specifically where we live here. Okay. So I don't know. I just find this silly. Let's buy the car because it has 1,000 horsepower. Okay, and I know there's enthusiasts. I hope I said that word right. I get that. Trust me, I get that. My point is that this is basically, you're getting something that it's not. I don't know. Why am I going to spend all that money for something that I'm not going to be taking advantage of, is I guess is my point, right? So that was my thoughts. Tinted windows, my slow driving ass. And do not attempt to do this after you buy this car. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, listening. Ooh, excuse me. Wow, that was bad hiccups. Thank you again for watching. Thank you again for listening. Don't forget to send us emails with anything you like, any feedback, any topics, any advice, any counter arguments. thinkingdriving@gmail.com. I promise that I will finally remember our social media, but you can find us on Twitter. Find me on Twitter at thinkingdriving, just like the email address. You can find me on Facebook at Thinking and Driving, and I believe Instagram, which I don't really have much there yet, is also Thinking Driving. Once again, thanks again, and have a good rest of the day. Thank you.